We resume on the road to Cerulean City. It is the morning after the Aura Guardian festival, and Ash in his usual impetuous way cannot wait to challenge for his second badge. Brock and Licia would have honestly rathered sleep in a bit later, but Serena is still walking on air after the events of the ball, and so helps Ash to rally them onwards. A little way down the road, the group spot a familiar face, that of Misty from the tournament yesterday, and when she sees them, she smiles and beckons them over. Ash asks if she's on her way to Cerulean City too, and Misty confirms this, admitting that since she grew up there, she actually knows a shortcut, and so would be happy to show them the way if they want. No one has any objections, and so the group grow into a temporary quintet. During the next few days, everyone gets to know Misty a bit better, such as her dream to become a water Pokemon master, which speaks to Licia having grown up in Sutopolis City, or her fear of bugs, which becomes immediately clear when Ash and Serena bring out Beedrill and Butterfree for a meal, and Misty runs headlong in the opposite direction, yelling something about getting those horrible bugs away from her. She also proves to be a skilled battler, agreeing to battle both Ash and Licia, having heard all about Gary, and so fully understanding their desire to overcome the arrogant young oak. Brock and Misty also become fast friends, with Brock praising the redhead for the care she puts into raising her Pokemon. As for Serena and Misty, they do get along, but despite their close proximity over several days of travelling together, they never quite hit it off in the same way that Misty does with the other three. In what feels like no time at all, the group arrive in Cerulean City. Licia and Ash ask if Misty would like to come watch their gym battles, but Misty disparagingly says that she'd recommend skipping this gym and moving on, since the gym leaders here are a bunch of airheaded ninnies. Fervently, Ash replies that ninnies or not, they're still gym leaders, and he needs to earn their badge, so he's challenging them, with Licia nodding her head in agreement, since she's heard their water-type specialists like her uncle, so she wants to see how they stack up. Misty wishes them luck in their battles, and departs the group, leaving Ash, Serena, Brock and Licia to head for the gym on their own. However, when they arrive, there is a line out the door of the gym, and when they get close, the group hear a lot of disgruntled muttering coming from the assembled people. Ash densely comments that he guesses a lot of people must be willing to challenge the gym today, but Serena points out a sign saying that the gym is hosting an underwater ballet. Ash pouts that this is just great, since if they're doing the stupid ballet, he'll probably have to wait until tomorrow for his match. But with a shake of her head, Serena tells him to take a close look at the schedule listed. Ash does so, and to his horror sees that there are matinee and evening performances every day for the next week. Ash gasps that this is terrible, since with such a packed schedule, they won't be able to take on challenges for ages. From the crowd, one person says that if he thinks that's terrible, he should know that the show is meant to start half an hour ago, but no one's even let them in yet. Licia frowns that this is odd for a scheduled performance, and wonders why this is, but Ash is in no mood to sit around speculating, and so declares that he's going in to find out what's going on and how the gym leaders can book a whole week so that no one can have any gym battles. The group then push their way to the front of the queue, and to their surprise are able to get inside without any issue. The lights are all off in the foyer, but down the hall the group spot a single source of light shining out from under a doorway. Wasting no time, they approach the door and knock. Moments later, a pink-haired girl opens it slightly, asking who's there, and Ash replies, "A gym challenger." In a vapid voice, the girl replies that she's sorry but they're not doing gym battles anymore, then closes the door in his face. Fuming, Ash bangs harder on the door, and when a different girl, now with honey blonde hair, opens it, he doesn't wait for an invitation and just barges his way inside. To their surprise, Ash and friends find themselves inside a dressing room where three girls are huddled together with matching looks of distress on their faces. To his credit, Brock doesn't react creepily to the sight of them, and Licia gives him a pleased smile, while Ash, still annoyed, demands to know what they mean they aren't doing gym battles anymore. They're a gym! The third girl, with blue hair, replies that they're honestly sick of doing gym battles, so they decide to give them up and do underwater ballet instead. It's way more fun, and they don't have to exert themselves coming up with strategies and junk. That is, it was fun until the two girls they hired to play the Mermaid Princess's handmaidens in this week's ballet quit. Now they don't know how they're supposed to do the show, and they've got a bunch of angry people outside who've already paid for their tickets. Ash rudely grumbles that it sounds like karma for not doing gym battles anymore, but Licia tells him to hush, before asking what exactly the two girls were supposed to do. The pink-haired girl gives a brief rundown, explaining how they were only supporting characters, but they gave the cue to start the grand finale with all the Pokemon, so they're pretty essential. Serena, who has caught on to Licia's plan by now, smiles that the two of them could fill in for today if the gym leaders want. The blonde girl gasps that would be incredible, but Licia stops her, saying that they'll fill in today, but afterwards they have to give both her and Ash a gym battle. The blue-haired girl declares that they'll do anything, and so a deal is struck for Serena and Licia to act as the understudies. As the girls are run through their lines and change into their costumes, Ash, Brock and Pikachu return to the front of the gym to lead the crowd of spectators to their seats and keep the audience in high spirits until the performance can begin. Finally, the curtains rise on the raised pool, and Ash, Brock and Pikachu take seats in the front row to watch. It is a simple story about a mermaid and a human pirate who fall in love, and their journey to be together despite coming from two different worlds. The boys quickly find themselves engrossed in the narrative just like everyone else, and when it comes time for Licia and Serena's scenes, they are excited to see them perform. The girls come out dressed in their mermaid costumes, and as a testament to their skill as coordinators, adapt to the role as if they had always played them. Together they glide gracefully through the water before performing a brief synchronized swimming routine which is a cue for all the water Pokemon to join them. It is quite a spectacle, and by the end, everyone is giving the performers a standing ovation. As they do so, Serena's egg begins to wiggle in Brock's arms. 20 minutes later, when the crowd has departed, Serena and Licia emerge from backstage and the boys rush over to commend them on such great performances, with Brock handing Licia a bouquet of flowers, calling it a theatre tradition. Licia and Serena thank their friends for the praise, as Serena grins that having seen the water ballet's choreography, she now thinks she has an idea for a new appeals performance. Everyone says they look forward to seeing it, and soon after the three gym leaders appear. Now that the stress of the show is lifted off their shoulders, they seem to be in a much better mood, and so introduce themselves as Daisy, the blonde, Lily the pinkette, and Violet with the blue hair, though Violet does admit that it's a drag that they now have to do a gym battle. Daisy reminds her sister that a deal is a deal, and so proposes that why don't they do a double battle, the three of them against Ash and Licia. Lily points out that those numbers don't add up, and with matching grimaces, Ash and Licia start to get an idea about what Misty meant when she called these three idiots. But speak of the devil, at that moment a new voice enters the conversation, saying she will battle alongside Ash and Licia to make it a 3v3. Looking up, they all see Misty standing in the doorway, and while the group of friends are happy to see her, Lily smirks that they were looking for a way to even the odds for the challengers, not saddle them with yet another disadvantage. Furiously, Misty screams who does Lily think she's calling a disadvantage, but the pink-haired girl replies that it's not fair to force Ash and Licia to fight the three sensational sisters while carrying a deadweight runt. While the three elder sisters titter at their own perceived wit, the orange-haired girl howls in fury and storms over to where they are standing. With a look that could kill, she tells Ash and Licia to come on, since it's time they put these three in their place. A little startled, Ash asks why she's getting so worked up, asking if they know each other or something, but Brock smiles that isn't it obvious? They're sisters. Ash looks a little bit lost, but Daisy confirms this, though she admits that the three of them are the famous sensational sisters, while Misty is just their annoying little kid sister without any talent or charm. Steam practically coming out of her ears at this point, Misty steps up onto the platform on her end of the pool and tells her sisters to do likewise. Soon all six battlers are in place, and so Brock volunteers to act as referee, while Serena watches from the stands, cheering on her friends and holding her egg, which continues to rattle occasionally. The sisters choose their Pokemon first, with Daisy choosing a Luvdisc, who she calls Loverin, Lily choosing a Seal, and Violet picking a Gyarados who towers over its contemporaries. Ash and Licia both grin, and so call for their Pikachu, with Licia's even wearing a special lab coat costume to assist with its electrical moves. Considering the typing of their opponents and the fact they're in a giant pool of water, this should be an easy win, with a couple of electric attacks taking them all down, especially quad-weak Gyarados. But then Misty brings out a Goldeen. Ash and Licia face fall, their plan now ruined, since if they were to electrocute the pool, Goldeen would be badly injured as well. But when they look to their friend to ask what in the world she's thinking, they quickly realise that she is not entirely herself, as the usually spunky redhead is now shaking, with a look of abject terror in her face. Searching for the cause, they need only follow Misty's eyeline to see that it's Gyarados, and as the fearsome sea serpent lets out a terrible roar, they cannot entirely blame her for this fear. And so the battle begins, with Ash and Licia taking the offensive. Since they can't risk using electric moves, they make use of Quick Attack to dart from floating platform to floating platform, to close the distance between themselves and their opponents. However, the sensational sisters have not been passive during this time, with Daisy having Loverin use agility to meet them, while Lily has Seal fire off ice beams to slow the Pikachu pair down. Thankfully, the Pikachu are able to outspeed this, but that is not to say that they are out of the woods, as when they reach the furthest platform, they come face to face with Gyarados. Letting out another roar, the sea serpent lets off a powerful hyper beam, which shreds the platform the dual electric types are standing on, forcing them into the water. This is exactly what Daisy had been hoping for, and so as her sped up love discs slam into the duo with a momentum enhanced tackle. Pikachu and cosplay Pikachu are buffeted by this, and frantically Licia calls out for Misty to have Goldeen help them. Misty, as if coming out of a trance, tears her eyes away from Gyarados for the first time, and mumbles her agreement, sending Goldeen to use Horn Attack on Loverin, even though her voice still sounds far away. Goldeen's mind at least is still on the battle, and so it deals a direct hit, driving the other water type away, and allowing the two Pikachu to grab onto its tail so it can ferry them back to their side of the field. Lily has Seal give chase, firing off more ice beams in an attempt to slow the fleeing foes down. Seal's accuracy is pretty poor, but Lucky Shot manages to clip one of Goldeen's fins and immediately begins to freeze. Thinking fast, Ash has Pikachu use Iron Tail to shatter the ice before it can truly form, and Misty numbly thanks him for the assist as Goldeen finally manages to pull away from its pursuer. The two Pikachu then get back onto their platform, just as Seal hops onto an adjacent one while Loverin circles underneath, and Gyarados watches menacingly from afar. With a mix of worry and frustration in his voice, Ash asks Misty why she's acting so weird about Gyarados when she's meant to be a water-type specialist. Misty doesn't answer, so Violet as its trainer explains, saying that Misty's always been scared of Gyarados, ever since this one tried to eat her as a baby or whatever. Ash growls that he can't believe they'd choose to use it against their own sister given her history with it, snarling that the trio should be known as the Cruel Sisters if they ask him. Violet pouts that this name stinks and would ruin their branding, but Daisy calmly replies that it's not their fault. After all, they did warn that Misty would be a liability. A chill runs down Ash and Lycia's spines at this. As though they hate to admit it, Daisy is at least right that Misty has quickly become more of a hindrance than a help. However, not wanting to show a lack of faith in their friend, they instead declare that Misty's just got the jitters, and they know she'll pull through once they take down that Gyarados. These words are said with the utmost confidence, but when Ash and Lycia share a look, it is clear they are both struggling to figure out how to make them true. The match then resumes with the two Pikachu being ordered to use Thunderbolt and Electro Ball on Seal, figuring that since it's out of the water, they can at least use their electric attacks on it. This is a good strategy in theory, but before either of them can land, the Sea Lion Pokemon simply leaps back into the water, causing the attacks to soar harmlessly into the distance. Loverin then leaps out of the water behind the pair, and though Misty tries to have Goldeen follow after the love heart-shaped fish, her reactions are too slow, allowing Loverin to fire off a sweet kiss. Ash's Pikachu is the intended target of this attack, and before it can dodge, a spectral kiss lands on its forehead. Suddenly, Pikachu begins to stagger around drunkenly, while its trainer urgently asks what happened. Lycia explains that Sweet Kiss confuses any Pokemon it makes contact with, and Ash, his frustration finally boiling over from everything that's happened lately, snaps at Misty that she could have prevented this if she just kept her mind on the battle. Lycia tells Ash to calm down, but Ash ignores her, saying that he understands Misty's afraid of Gyarados, but this isn't about Gyarados, it's about her, her Pokemon, and her teammates, all of whom need her. He then finishes that after their battle in the tournament, he thought she was a really strong battler, but maybe her sisters are right, and she is just a liability. A heavy silence hangs over the gym, and in a small voice, Lycia asks how Ash could say something like that. But it is Misty who stops her, saying that no, Ash is right, she's been off all battle, and she's sorry. She's gonna redouble her efforts to show her sisters and them that she's no runt. Ash beams that he's glad to hear it, and the pair clasp hands, as he promises that they'll cover Gyarados, so she doesn't have to worry about it. Lycia nods her agreement, and so the re-energized team turn to face the gym leaders as one. Misty, having finally found her feet, has Goldeen use a light water gun to snap Pikachu out of its confusion, while Lycia has cosplay Pikachu stand guard in case of another sneak attack. However, it seems that this time the Sensational Sisters strategy is more straightforward, as they simply command Gyarados to blast the three Pokemon with Hyper Beam. Gyarados charges up the blast, and as it prepares to fire, Misty calls to her teammates they need to find a way to hold this off, since after using such a strong move, Gyarados will need to recharge and that will make it vulnerable. Ash and Lycia call this good thinking, and so as the Golden Blast is fired, the three friends call for a combined counterattack. Thunderbolt from Pikachu, Electro Ball from Cosplay Pikachu, and Water Gun from Goldeen. The four attacks clash, and for a moment hang in the air, but then when the challengers call for their Pokemon to go all out, they manage to push the Hyper Beam back into Gyarados' mouth. there is a fierce explosion, and from the smoke, Gyarados slumps, not defeated, but certainly vulnerable. Ash and Licia grin that this is their chance, and so order their Pikachu to close the gap and finish off the Sea Serpent with Iron Tail and Electro Ball. However, as they leap from platform to platform, a powerful ice beam from Seal catches them from underwater, freezing them solid. As they fall, Cosplay Pikachu's Electro Ball fizzles out due to Ice's poor conductivity, and so this leaves the electric rodents exposed to a tackle from Loverin. However, before this can hit, Goldeen comes to the rescue, slamming into Loverin with a horn attack that sends it reeling, before performing a swift turn to shatter the large ice block trapping the pair of Pikachu. The Sensational Sisters whine that this is why they hate gym battles, since the other trainers keep doing stuff like this. Cockily Misty asks, "What, winning?" And oblivious to the irony, Daisy nods. The youngest daughter of the Cerulean gym then smirks that her sisters are really gonna hate what comes next, as she has Goldeen ram into Loverin once more, this time driving it into the pool wall. Moments later, Loverin floats to the surface with spiral eyes, and without missing a beat, Brock declares it unable to battle. Daisy howls and flounces away to the stands, as Ash and Licia high-five their friend for scoring the first knockout of the battle. As they do so, Misty pulls them close and whispers that she thinks she has a strategy to win this. Ash and Licia's eyes go wide when they hear what her plan is, but both agree that this is probably for the best, and so Licia starts the setup for the grand finale by having her Pikachu use the move this costume imparts, that being electric terrain. As lightning crackles all around them, Lily and Violet gasp that this looks bad, with Lily telling Violet to finish things off quickly with another Hyper Beam. Violet nods and so calls for the attack. Like before, the Gold Blast fires, but this time instead of fighting it, Ash and Licia have their Pokemon abandon their primary platform and start their approach early so they can strike the moment Gyarados needs to recharge. However, Lily calls out that they won't get away with things that easily and so orders another Ice Beam, but this is all in line with the plan, and quick as a flash, Goldeen leaps out of the water, intercepting the attack and allowing itself to be frozen solid. Misty then cries for them to do it now, and with a nod, Ash and Licia tell their Pikachu to use Thunderbolt and Electro Ball at maximum voltage. Thanks to the electric terrain, these attacks are giant as they strike Gyarados. However, thanks to the Sea Serpent being partially submerged, the electrical currents branch out from it, electrocuting Seal as well. The only water type to escape harm is Misty's Goldeen, thanks to the fact that the ice coating it is a poor conductor of electricity. As the flashing yellow lights fade, everyone holds their breath, fully aware that this all-or-nothing gambit will determine the outcome of this battle one way or the other. Then Seal and Gyarados float to the surface belly up, signifying a perfect victory for the challengers. A sulky look is painted on the faces of the Sensational Sisters as they approach their challengers to distribute the badges. Ash, Licia, and Misty, however, are ecstatic as they are each given a Cascade badge, with Licia promising to use what she's learned from them in her next contest. As Daisy hands Misty her badge, she admits that maybe she underestimated her little sister, with Lily and Violet adding their own voices, saying that with strength like hers, Misty could maybe win the Pokemon League. Misty smiles at their praise, while Ash and Licia agree, asking if she is planning on entering. Misty replies that she hadn't really thought about it, but this battle was a lot of fun, so maybe she will. Serena and Brock then come over to add their praise, and as they do so, Serena's wriggling egg begins to shake violently, as if trying to leap out of her hands. Worriedly, the girl asks what's happening, but Brock says that he thinks it's about to hatch. An idea then strikes Licia, and she says that based on her uncle's description of where it's from, maybe it's trying to reach the pool. Serena asks if she thinks so, and Licia says it's possible, since if it's a water type like she suspects, then maybe its kind is used to hatching while submerged in water. Serena then asks the sisters if they mind if she uses their pool, and the four of them say that it is fine, prompting the girl to step forward and place her egg in the water. At once, as if turning on a light, white energy engulfs Serena's egg, before shooting out as pillars of light that force everyone to avert their eyes. Serena alone watches on, and as the light fades, she gives the newborn a smile, welcoming it into the world. As the newly hatched Pokemon paddles over to Serena, who it is deemed to be its mother, everyone gathers around to observe it, each having their own commentary. Licia grins that she was right about it being a water type, while Brock smiles that from looking at it, he can tell that it's in perfect health. Misty a little unenthusiastically says that it looks kinda stuck up to her, though her sisters protest that they know beauty, and it's a cutie, take it from them. Finally, it is Ash's turn to speak, and as Serena looks over to him to see his thoughts on the newest member of her team, all he can say is, "Who's that Pokemon?" And that's where we'll leave things. What Pokemon has hatched from Serena's egg? How will its inclusion change the dynamic among our heroes? And will Misty become a powerful new rival for Ash and Licia? Find out as the journey continues.